In the dead of night, when the world holds its breath, something stirs, not in the flicker of a screen, but in the cold grip of reality. Whispers of possession, screams that echo through time. These are not mere stories. They are the shadows that clawed their way into our nightmares. If these untold truths send a shiver down your spine, hit that subscribe button now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt the unseen watching? Let's uncover the darkness together. Long before Hollywood spun its tales of terror, the line between the living and the damned blurred in ways that defy explanation. We journey back to the mid-20th century, to quiet suburbs and forgotten towns where ordinary lives shattered under an invisible force. Exorcisms, ancient rituals born from desperation, became the battleground for souls caught in the abyss. What began as whispers of illness or rebellion soon twisted into something far more sinister. A slow dread settled over families, priests, and investigators as the veil between worlds thinned. And in that thinning, horrors emerged that would inspire the silver screen's most unrelenting fears. Consider the case that birthed one of cinema's darkest icons. It was 1949, in the heart of America's heartland, St. Louis, Missouri. A boy just 13 years old named Ronald, or Roland as history would cloak him, lived a life of simple routines. Baseball games in the summer heat, laughter with his family. But beneath the surface, unease festered. His aunt, a spiritualist who dabbled in the occult, had recently passed away. In her wake, strange occurrences plagued the household. Noises scratched at the walls like claws seeking entry. Objects shifted without touch. And then, the boy began to change. Witnesses, family members huddled in fear, recalled how Roland's bed would shake violently as if gripped by an earthquake confined to one room. The air grew thick, heavy with an unnatural chill. He spoke in voices not his own, guttural tones that mocked the sacred. Latin phrases ancient and forbidden spilled from his lips, though he had never studied them. Doctors were summoned first, their examinations yielding nothing but bafflement. Poltergeist activity, they murmured, psychological distress. But as the incidents escalated, a deeper truth clawed its way forward. Priests arrived under the cover of night, their faces etched with resolve. Father Raymond Bishop, a Jesuit of unyielding faith, documented every shadow of the ordeal. The boy levitated, they said, his body rising inches from the mattress, defying gravity's pull. Scratches bloomed across his skin, forming words that burned like brands. Evil. Hell. The family fled their home, seeking refuge in a nearby hospital, but the darkness followed. Rain lashed the windows in torrents, unseasonal and furious, as if the skies themselves wept blood. What if this was no mere haunting, but an invasion? As investigators pored over journals and testimonies, patterns emerged. The boy's obsession with a Ouija board, a gift from his aunt, had opened a door. Or had it? Skeptics whispered of hysteria, of a mind fractured by grief. Yet the priests pressed on, reciting rites that echoed through sterile corridors. Holy water sizzled on contact with his flesh. And in the quiet moments between chaos, Roland's eyes, once innocent, gleamed with something ancient, something hungry. The investigation deepened, drawing in diocesan officials who pored over ecclesiastical laws. Was this possession true, warranting the full Roman ritual? Tests were administered. The boy recoiled from crucifixes, his body contorting in agony. Relics placed near him sparked unnatural fires. One witness, a nurse on duty, fled the room pale and trembling, claiming she heard laughter. Not human, but layered, as if from a chorus in the void. Step by step, the evidence mounted, pulling the family and the world toward an abyss. But the true unraveling came in fragments pieced together from hurried confessions and faded diaries. Roland's outbursts grew prophetic, foretelling events no child could know. A priest's illness, a storm's fury. And then the voices turned personal, taunting his mother with secrets long buried. The air hummed with malevolence, every shadow a potential threat. Investigators questioned neighbors who spoke of lights flickering in the Doe household long before the troubles began. Was it coincidence or a prelude to the storm? As the rites intensified, the boy's resistance peaked. He spat venom, literally a foul substance that defied medical analysis. Furniture hurled across rooms, pinning exorcists against walls. One entry in Father Bishop's diary, read years later by those who dared, described a night when the room filled with the stench of sulfur and Roland's voice boomed, "I am Legion." The implications chilled even the hardened faithful. How many entities lurked within? And what price would be paid to banish them? Transitioning from this American nightmare, we cross oceans to 1970s Germany, where another soul teetered on the edge. Anneliese Michel, a young woman of devout Catholic upbringing, lived in the rolling hills of Bavaria. It was 1968 when the first signs appeared. Seizures racked her body during a pilgrimage, her limbs twisting in ways that mocked natural affliction. Doctors diagnosed epilepsy, prescribing medications that dulled her mind but failed to silence the shadows. By 1970, the voices began, relentless, commanding her to desecrate the holy. She refused food, her faith her only anchor, yet the darkness gnawed deeper. Her parents, pious and desperate, turned to the church. Priests hesitated at first, bound by skepticism in an age of science. But as Anneliese's condition worsened, bruises appearing without cause, her speech fracturing into demonic snarls, permission was granted. Father Ernst Alt and Pastor Arnold Rentz stepped into the fray, armed with crucifixes and prayers. The exorcisms unfolded over 10 months in hidden chapels and her family home, away from prying eyes. Witness accounts paint a tableau of unrelenting horror. Anneliese would growl like a beast, her eyes rolling back to whites that seemed bottomless. She claimed entities possessed her. Lucifer, Judas, even Hitler, each manifesting with distinct cruelties. One session captured on tape, though never publicly aired in full, reveals her voice shifting octaves, mocking the priests with blasphemies that twisted scripture into knives. The air grew oppressive, candles extinguishing as if by breath from the grave. Her family watched, hearts breaking as she convulsed on the floor, foam flecking her lips. But the Amityville saga twisted further. Subsequent owners reported residual hauntings, toys moving autonomously, cries of children not their own. Investigators scoured deeds and histories, uncovering rumors of a 1700s cult that practiced rites in the area. Was it all fabrication, or did the evil persist, latching onto new inhabitants? These threads weave into a tapestry of dread, but none gripped the collective psyche like the boy in St. Louis, whose torment would fuel William Peter Blatty's novel and the film that scarred generations. Returning to Roland Doe, the rites reached a fever pitch in April 1949. Transferred to the Alexian Brothers Hospital, a secluded wing became the arena. Father Bishop, alongside Father William Bowdern, invoked the full exorcism, their voices steady against the storm. The boy, restrained yet raging, spat shards of glass that materialized from nowhere. His skin split, welts rising like script from hell. One exorcist bore scars from a bedpost that flew like a spear. Witnesses, including hospital staff sworn to secrecy, heard the entity's rage, promises of eternal torment, visions of abyss. The air vibrated, lights shattering in cascades of sparks. And then, in the climax of their battle, a breakthrough. Or so they believed. These threads weave into a tapestry of dread, but none gripped the collective psyche like the boy in St. Louis, whose torment would fuel William Peter Blatty's novel and the film that scarred generations. Returning to Roland Doe, the rites reached a fever pitch in April 1949. Transferred to the Alexian Brothers Hospital, a secluded wing became the arena. Father Bishop, alongside Father William Bowdern, invoked the full exorcism, their voices steady against the storm. The boy, restrained yet raging, spat shards of glass that materialized from nowhere. His skin split, welts rising like script from hell. One exorcist bore scars from a bedpost that flew like a spear. Witnesses, including hospital staff sworn to secrecy, heard the entity's rage, promises of eternal torment, visions of abyss. The air vibrated, lights shattering in cascades of sparks. And then, in the climax of their battle, a breakthrough, or so they believed. As dawn crept through barred windows, Roland convulsed one final time, his body arching like a bow. A howl rent the silence, not of pain but expulsion. The entity fled, they said, leaving the boy limp, at peace. But the revelation struck like thunder. During the rite, a mark appeared on his chest, a faint cross seared as if by divine fire. Father Bowdern later confided to confidants that the demon revealed its name, something unutterable, tied to ancient lore. Was this victory absolute or merely a respite? The church sealed the records, but leaks whispered of a soul forever marked. In Anneliese's chambers, the climax unfolded with heartbreaking ferocity. By 1976, the sessions numbered 67, each more grueling. On one fateful evening, as priests chanted the litany of saints, Anneliese rose, her emaciated frame trembling. The voices merged into a symphony of malice, Lucifer proclaiming dominion, others jeering. She clawed at her throat, gasping as if drowning in invisible flames. The revelation came in her final words, recorded faintly. "I see the light, but it burns." The entities confessed their hold, born from a moment of doubt in her youth. Yet freedom came too late. She collapsed, her heart surrendering to the war within. Autopsy revealed malnutrition, but those who saw the tape spoke of eyes that held otherworldly sorrow. Had faith exorcised the demons, or had they simply consumed their host? Amityville's peak came on the Lutzes last night. George, sleepless, ventured to the basement, site of the DeFeo rampage. There, amid the damp stone, he encountered it. A figure, hooded and immense, emanating cold that frosted his breath. It didn't speak. It invaded, flooding his mind with visions of bloodied rooms, screams layering into cacophony. Upstairs, Kathy and the children huddled as the house groaned, walls pulsing like flesh. The revelation dawned in terror. The evil wasn't fleeting. It was the house's essence, awakened by the murders, hungry for more. They bolted into the snow, never returning, their escape a testament to survival's edge. These climaxes, raw and unfiltered, force us to confront the fragility of our reality. In each case, the boundary between body and spirit fractured, leaving scars on survivors and skeptics alike. Priests emerged changed, their faith tempered by doubt, families splintered, haunted by what they endured. And the world, through cinema, glimpsed the abyss, yet the true horror lay in the unanswered. Were these possessions divine trials, psychological storms, or gateways to something eternal? As the rites concluded and the dust settled, an eerie calm descended. In St. Louis, Roland returned to normalcy, his life a quiet footnote, though friends noted a lingering wariness in his gaze. Anneliese's death sparked trials for her priests and parents, convictions for negligence that masked deeper questions of belief. Amityville's house endures, toured by the curious, its silence mocking the chaos once contained. Philosophically, these events challenge us. In an age of reason, do we dismiss the supernatural or sense its whisper in our own fears? What lingers when the candles dim? But what if the possessions never truly end? What if the entities, banished or not, await in the quiet corners of our world, drawn to the vulnerable, watching, waiting? In the veil between myth and madness, the unknown calls. Join us next time as we descend deeper into the shadows. Subscribe and let the mysteries unfold.